Today, let's talk about John's last story and days of our lives. John eventually died in an explosion when he tried to find Dr. Jeffrey Russell's Versavix to save Bo. And John was not as lucky as before. He died. Let's find out about this story. Bo Brady's condition had deteriorated rapidly over the past few days. The stoic former detective now reduced to a frail shadow of himself, feverish and delirious as sepsis began to take root. It was in this crucible of desperation that the specter of John Black's latest and final heroic venture emerged, a mission that would leave all of Salem reeling. The descent of Bo Brady. Bo Brady had always been a pillar of strength, a man whose mere presence seemed to light up the darkest corners of any predicament. But illness, as it is wont to do, levels even the greatest among us. Sepsis, a relentless invader of the bloodstream, had turned Bo's once vigorous physique into little more than a battleground for his own immune system. Doctors and nurses worked around the clock, administering powerful 4 antibiotics and supporting vital organ function. Yet against this microscopic foe, they were running perilously low on time. It was Dr. Jeffrey Russell who held the key, Versavix, a groundbreaking experimental drug developed in his clandestine laboratory. Versavix had demonstrated remarkable efficacy against systemic bacterial infections in early trials, a potential miracle for Bo Brady but also a source of fierce controversy. Its use was still technically unauthorized, and the sole supply of vials was tightly controlled by Dr. Russell himself. Theft of hope. Kevin's dark turn complicating matters further was Kevin's betrayal. Once a trusted ally in the quest to save Bo, Kevin's motives had become muddied by greed and jealousy. Under pressure from mysterious benefactors, he had seized every vial of Versavix from Russell's lab, carting them off under the cover of darkness. The theft, when uncovered, sent shockwaves through Salem's tight-knit community. How could someone they once trusted be the very architect of their hero's potential demise? Sean Brady, Bo's cousin, and Steve Johnson, lifelong friend and fellow investigator, were left scrambling. Racing against the relentless march of sepsis, they scoured the city for clues to Kevin's whereabouts. They followed leads from the shady docks by the riverfront to the opulent but empty halls of a forgotten mansion. Each clue pieced together a portrait of a man willing to betray his own moral compass and Bo's very life, for reasons none of them fully understood. John Black's relentless resolve amid this chaos. Marlena Evans turned to John Black, Salem's most enigmatic and unflappable presence. John, whose own history was woven with shadows of espionage and secret missions, had faced immeasurable odds in his time. Yet driving his actions now was something far more primal: loyalty. To John, Bo Brady was family, comrades who had shed blood side by side against threats both mortal and mystical. If there was even the faintest chance to retrieve those stolen vials and administer them to Bo, John would find it. Sean and Steve, recognizing the gravity of the situation, agreed that John's unique skills made him indispensable. They pooled their knowledge, the coded messages intercepted from Kevin's phone, descriptions of a clandestine lab hidden beneath an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, and the intermittent radio chatter overheard by a sympathetic lab technician. John listened in silence, eyes narrowing as he absorbed every detail. "Tell me everything," he said, voice low and calm. "Because we're going in." The infiltration under the cover of a moonless night, John slipped into the warehouse compound. The decrepit structure groaned with each gust of wind, metal shutters rattling like the bones of the long dead. Armed with nothing but a concealed sidearm and a flashlight, he moved like a phantom through the shadows. His breath was measured, each step deliberate. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of chemicals. A nauseating reminder of the clandestine experiments that had once taken place here. John found himself in a vast subterranean chamber, lit by the eerie glow of red emergency beacons. Racks of stolen Versavix vials gleamed under the harsh lights, lined up like trophies of Kevin's betrayal. But before he could secure them, the room erupted in chaos. Alarms blared as automatic defenses, metal shutters, and gas vents activated in a last-ditch attempt to protect the stolen cargo. John darted forward, narrowly avoiding a sudden burst of nerve agent. Coughing, he covered his face and pressed onward, adrenaline propelling him through the maelstrom. The explosion, then came the sound, a deep, resonant boom that reverberated through every bone in his body. A secondary explosion. Kevin had rigged the lab to self-destruct if threatened. The wall shook, concrete fragments rained down, and the temperature spiked as flames licked across barrels of volatile compounds. John realized that he had mere seconds. He sprinted toward the vault, yanking open the reinforced door as the structure began to collapse around him. Heart pounding, he snatched handfuls of Versavix vials, stashing them in a tactical pouch. But then, a deafening roar filled the chamber. A massive shockwave slammed him into the far wall, knocking the wind out of his lungs. Pain exploded in his side as metal girders twisted and crashed down. Dazed, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead, John struggled to rise. The exit was blocked by fallen debris. The only path lay through a corridor now engulfed in flame. The aftermath. Back at Salem General, Marlena Evans paced the hallway, phone pressed to her ear as she tried in vain to reach John. Sean and Steve hovered nearby, eyes hollow with worry. Time seemed to stretch interminably until finally, a nurse approached with a grim expression. "It's John," she said softly. "He's here, but he's badly injured." Tears welled in Marlena's eyes as she and Sean dashed past the nurse into the trauma bay. John lay on a steel gurney, tubes and monitors attached to his battered body. His breathing was shallow, and an array of cuts and bruises marked his torso and face. Yet even in his unconscious state, there was a fierce determination in the set of his jaw, as though he fought on even in slumber. Dr. Russell, who had rushed to the hospital upon hearing the news, administered intravenous doses of Versavix to Bo, praying that the stolen vials would counteract the septic infection ravaging his body. Each drip of the translucent fluid was a testament to John's sacrifice, his final, heroic act. A community in mourning word spread quickly through Salem. The news of John's heroism and the heavy price he paid sent shockwaves through every corner of the town. Jennifer Horton wept openly at the courthouse steps. Kayla Brady clutched a faded photograph of her husband, remembering adventures they once dreamed they'd share in retirement. Even the most hardened residents, who had grown accustomed to Salem's constant churn of drama, found themselves united in grief. A vigil was organized in the Brady pub, the place where John had first stepped into Bo's life all those years ago. Candles flickered against the backdrop of photographs chronicling John's journey, from mysterious amnesiac to dedicated friend, from relentless agent to selfless guardian. Neighbors and friends shared stories, how John once rescued a child from a burning building, how he discreetly paid for Steve's legal fees when his job hung in the balance, how he always lent a listening ear to anyone in need. Legacy and farewell. On a crisp autumn morning, the community gathered at Lake Dimos for John's final farewell. Marlena stood at the edge of the water, sunlight dancing across her tears as she spoke. John Black was a man of secrets, she began, voice trembling yet resolute, but his greatest secret was the depth of his compassion. He taught us that no matter how lost we may feel, there is always a path back to humanity, always a reason to fight for those we love. As the sun broke the horizon, a solitary boat drifted across the lake, carrying a single white rose. The water shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the countless lives John had touched. And with that final gesture, John Black's journey came to rest, his story etched forever into the heart of Salem. Reflections. John's final story is one of profound sacrifice and unwavering loyalty. In his last moments, he embodied the very essence of heroism, risking everything for a friend in mortal peril. His death was not merely an end, but a testament to the power of love, friendship, and the indomitable human spirit. Beau Brady's recovery, fueled by the VersaVix that John secured at such a great cost, serves as both a triumph and a reminder of the fragility of life. As Salem moves forward, they carry with them John's legacy, an enduring beacon of courage in the face of darkness. What do you think of John's final ending? The conclusion of John Black's storied life has sparked a torrent of emotions among fans of Days of Our Lives. Some hail his sacrifice as the ultimate act of loyalty. Others lament the loss of a character who brought so much depth to the fabric of the show. What are your thoughts on John's final ending? How will his absence shape the future of Salem? And most importantly, how will Beau Brady, revived by his friend's heroism, honor John's memory moving forward? We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV Days Drama Digest for more updates on Days of Our Lives.